This I call up H.R. 9563, the Protecting Americans from Russian Litigation Act of 2024, for purpose of a markup, and move that the committee report it favorably to the House. The clerk will report the bill.
H.R. 9563.
Without objection, the bill will be considered as read and open for amendment at any time. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Hunt, for an opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. American businesses are being unfairly punished. Russia is pursuing spurious legal action against American companies who have ceased to continue business with Russian entities due to their compliance with the U.S. sanctions and export controls. Whether it's Russia, China, Iran, or any of America's adversaries, we have an obligation to protect America's interest in America's business at home and abroad. U.S. businesses need our help in combating these unfair lawsuits from Russian entities, and that's why I've introduced H.R. 9563, the Protecting Americans from Russian Litigation Act. This bill will protect U.S. business and ensure that they are not unfairly punished for simply complying with U.S. sanctions and export controls. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, the United States responded by imposing sanctions and other measures, such as export controls on Russia. Because of these U.S. sanctions, U.S. businesses and other entities that were operating in Russia had contracts with Russian entities and have exited Russia and all business relationships with Russian partners. U.S. businesses are now facing legal action in Russian courts as well as international arbitration. Russian courts can be expected to be hostile to U.S. litigants and refuse to recognize U.S. sanctions as valid. Once a judgment in a Russian court or case or arbitration is won, the Russian party may seek to enforce the judgment in foreign courts, including U.S. and European courts. The European Union includes a clause in its sanctions that bars Russian parties and their agents from obtaining compensation. The United States has no similar provision that would protect U.S. companies. That's why this bill is so important in protecting American companies from unfair litigation. It will provide protection for U.S. companies facing this legal jeopardy by barring civil action against those who are forced to breach a contract because of compliance with U.S. sanctions and export controls. This bill will protect U.S. businesses and ensure that they are not unfairly punished for simply complying with U.S. sanction and export controls. I am proud to co-lead the Protecting Americans from Russian Litigation Act of 2024 with my colleague from Maryland, Mr. Ivey. I'm also honored to have my colleagues, Mr. Nadler, Mr. Issa, Mr. Fitzgerald, Mr. Johnson, and Mrs. Lee to join us as original co-sponsors for this bill. This bill proves that even in divided Congress, we can still work across the aisle in a bipartisan manner to ensure that these matters are most impacted and most important to the American people and to American businesses. Let's protect American businesses from spurious litigation from Russia and from any other country that may seek to unfairly harm American companies for complying with U.S. sanctions and export controls. With that, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The chair asks unanimous consent that Mr. Nadler, the ranking member's opening statement, be entered into the record. Without objection, it will be entered in the record. And without objection, all other opening statements will be included in the record. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I've been notified that votes have been called, so we'll keep that in mind. And also, I'll say this too, I think the gentleman from Texas has done an outstanding job of laying out the case for this piece of legislation. The only point I would add, I think, is that that this bill does not interfere with or limit the rights, remedies, or causes of action available to victims of international terrorism, which I think is an important piece. But other than that, I think the gentleman from Texas really laid out all the key points, and I want to thank the other co-sponsors. I want to thank the chair for bringing the bill forward, and I urge my colleagues to support this bill. And I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The question on favorably reporting the bill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is ordered to be reported favorably to the House. Members will have 2 days to submit views. Without objection, the bill.
Say the part about technical conforming changes.
Without objection. Without objection, all technical and the staff is authorized to make technical and conforming changes. And that concludes today's business. We have votes on the floor. I wish everyone a good break, and we'll see you after the election.